All right, Democrats will hold 2020's first presidential debate tonight in Iowa with less than 3 weeks left until voters make their picks in the state's caucuses. 6 candidates will take to the stage tonight. Out of the 12 candidates still running, it is the smallest group to appear in any debate so far. Iowa Democrats will vote first for their presidential candidate on February 3rd.
For more on this, let's bring in 2020 campaign reporters Bo Erickson, Zach Hudak, and Kara Court in Des Moines, Iowa. Thank you so much for joining us, especially because we can see how cold it is out there.
Thanks, guys.
Kara, we're going to start with you. Let's start with the conflict happening between Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. They've been, quite cordial through this whole process, but over the past week or so, some things have popped up. Senator Warren says that Sanders' campaign gave volunteers anti-Warren talking points, and that in a 2018 meeting, Sanders told Warren that a woman couldn't win the presidency. Does the Sanders campaign see this sort of thing as a last-minute effort to perhaps gain favor in the state ahead of the caucuses?
It's interesting, Anne-Marie, because while you may think they would respond that way, the Sanders campaign is really not going there. When we look at their responses, they are, one, categorically denying that this happened. They're following the lead of Senator Bernie Sanders' statement when he said, "I did not say this." I spoke to Sanders' campaign co-chair, Senator Nina Turner, last night, and she basically told me that if you know Bernie Sanders, you know that he would never say anything like this. Not in a million years, is what she told me. What they're doing is focusing on looking ahead. They're trying not to get in the muck with this kerfuffle. They're trying to pose Sanders as a policy candidate who does not care about these personality critiques. Last night, they tweeted a video of Senator Bernie Sanders talking straight to the camera and explaining why he can beat Donald Trump. That is what they're trying to focus on. Their campaign manager, Faz Shakir, retweeted that video last night and said, "Stay focused, everyone." So a directive to Sanders supporters to look beyond this moment that's happening right now. It's going to be interesting to see, Anne-Marie, Vlad, how he handles this on the debate stage. So far, it's just been an exchange of statements between these senators and their campaigns. But when you think about Bernie Sanders and his perception amongst supporters, think about a poll that came out late last year, which said that Bernie Sanders was the most trusted Democratic candidate on the matters of health care, the economy, and climate change. A lot of supporters, whether they like Bernie Sanders or not, they trust what he has to say. So it's interesting that we're in this moment of a he said, she said. We're not sure how voters will respond. Will they believe Sanders? Will they believe Warren? And we're going to see it play out tonight on the debate stage.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and Zach, you've been following the Warren campaign. The Warren campaign released a statement about all this yesterday. What did it say, and is there any indication that she's hoping to stay away from this topic on the debate stage tonight?
Vlad, in the statement, the senator addressed the meeting, which we've known about for a long time. This is the 2020 meeting they had about a year ago, a little more than a year ago now, in which they discussed taking on Donald Trump in 2020 and shared goals, and where sort of assumed that they came up with this unofficial truce that they've lived under for sort of all of 2019 campaigning. Last night, she spoke vaguely about it and said that she believed in 2020 a woman could win. Bernie disagreed. So she really didn't come in guns blazing, but her campaign waited most of the day before responding to this. There was radio silence. It kind of marinated in the news ether, and everybody's been thinking about it at this point. And something Karen and I were talking about earlier that we should keep in mind here is Elizabeth Warren's been trying for most of the campaign to beat Bernie Sanders on policy, right? He'll come out, he will have his Medicare for All bill, and she'll say, "I'm going to find a better way, a more realistic way to do that." That hasn't been working for her. In part, I think, because he gets to live with sort of more aspirational policies than she does, whereas she has framed herself as the candidate with a plan for everything, and now she has to live with that. She has to explain everything. Here we're seeing sort of a pivot, though, to a character question. I think we're almost certain that on the debate stage, she'll be asked, or he will be asked, both of them will be asked, about this meeting. And this is an opportunity where even if Warren speaks in vague terms, as she did last night, this could insert some questions for progressive voters about Bernie Sanders, and this is a way she could attack in on him.
So listen, before I pivot over to Bo, Zach, I just want to clarify things. When is she saying that this meeting happened, or when is she saying that Sanders said these things? Is it just one occasion or several occasions?
This is December 2018. This is shortly before Warren declared her candidacy. I think it was on New Year's that she opened up her exploratory committee. This is the meeting when she was telling Bernie Sanders, I'm going to run for president. I don't know that he was decided yet, but it was highly speculated he would be. And this is a meeting where they were just kind of talking about general strategy as the progressive leaders of the Democratic Party.
Okay. That is great. Okay,
right.
So, Bo, no doubt foreign policy is going to be an issue during the debate. Of course, everyone has, often whatever's in the news cycle really makes it onto the debate stage. In this case, it's the Iran-U.S. crisis that we've been witnessing. It's going to be an issue probably when it comes to former Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders. Sanders has certainly been critical of some of the decisions that the vice president has made on foreign policy in the past. But how different are their stances on foreign policy now?
Hi, Vlad and Anne-Marie. So, yes, Senator Bernie Sanders is trying to take the Iran news and make it all about Joe Biden's Iraq war vote in 2002. He's seen this is the moment that they can kind of crystallize and question Joe Biden's global judgment and how he thinks about war. When we talk about how different their foreign policies is, Joe Biden in his campaign says that he will put his foreign policy up against anyone in public life, his resume versus other people. They try to conjure images up of him stepping off Air Force Two all throughout the world while he was vice president under the Obama administration. But for Bernie Sanders bringing up this Iraq war vote, Joe Biden says he does not want to get into it with Bernie Sanders, which is kind of convenient for him, but as we can guess, it'll probably come up tonight on the debate stage. When I'm talking to senior advisors and the loudest surrogates here in Iowa, former Secretary of State John Kerry, namely, he says that we have to consider the contemporaneous time that this vote was taken in. John Kerry, Joe Biden, many other Democratic senators says that they were just trying to work with the Bush administration and they were not voting for all of the strategies that the Bush administration finally implemented with the Iraq war vote. And one last element here that I think is maybe being overlooked is we're trying to figure out what Bernie Sanders is saying about Joe Biden now running for president in 2020. He's trying to paint him as a war hawk. That is just not something that we see in the rhetoric that Joe Biden uses on the campaign trail. He really seems to value the sacrifice that our military men and women put when going into these wars. He speaks regularly, almost every event, about his son, Beau Biden, who served in the Middle East. And Joe Biden says that he actually thinks that Beau Biden contracted glioblastoma, that cancer that ultimately ended up killing him. That is the scope that Joe Biden will be thinking about if he is elected president, when he is thinking about sending troops into war.
All right. As always, Bo, Zach, and Kara, thank you so much for your reporting. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So CBSN will have live coverage before and after tonight's debate. Join us at 8:30 p.m. Eastern as our team of correspondents and contributors get you set for the 7th primary debate.